In this lesson, we will learn the reasons why we need global catalog servers in an ID forest that has multiple domains. First of all, we will learn about domain controller replication and then global catalog server replication. From there, we can figure out the difference between a domain controller and a global catalog server. And finally, we sum up our lesson with the keynotes. Let's learn about the first domain controller in an ID forest. As you know, initially we have a standalone server GPVDC01 and we promoted it to the first domain controller in the ID forest with the root domain itlifeskills.local. The ID database ntds.dit is created on GPVDC01, which contains the schema partition, the configuration partition, the application partition, and the domain partition. These partitions are writable to GPVDC01, and the domain partition contains all objects with full attribute set of the domain itlifeskills.local. GPVDC01 is assigned with 5 flexible single master operation rows plus the global catalog row. However, the global catalog partition is empty because there is only one domain in the forest. To create a new domain from a standalone server, our PVDC01, we promoted it to the first domain controller of the child domain hq.itlifeskills.local. The ID database ntds.dit is created on our PVDC01, which contains the schema partition, and it is seen from the schema master GPVDC01. The schema partition is read-only to OPVDC01. The ID database also contains the configuration partition, which is seen from the domain naming master GPVDC01, and OPVDC01 also added its own data to the configuration partition. The application partition may get synced from GPVDC01 if its application partition has the replication scope set to forest-wide, and OPVDC01 also added its application to the application partition. The DC promo process also created a domain partition for the child domain hq.itlifeskills.local on OPVDC01. The configuration, the application, and the domain partitions are writable to OPVDC01, and the domain partition contains all the objects with full attribute set for the domain hq.itlifeskills.local. OPVDC01 is assigned with all 3 flexible single master operation rows plus global catalog row. As soon as OPVDC01 is functioning as a global catalog server, it forms a global catalog partnership with GPVDC01. After the partnership is formed, GPVDC01 makes a copy of all objects in its domain itlifeskills.local. However, these objects only contain the attributes that are configured to replicate to the global catalog. The list of attributes replicated to the global catalog for an object is called partial attribute set. GPVDC01 replicates partial attribute set objects to global catalog partition on OPVDC01. The global catalog partition is read-only to OPVDC01 and it contains partial attribute set objects from the domain itlifeskills.local. Similarly, OPVDC01 will generate a list of partial attribute set objects in its domain hq.itlifeskills.local and replicate it to the global catalog partition on GPVDC01. The global catalog partition is read-only to GPVDC01 and it also contains the partial attribute set objects from the child domain hq.itlifeskills.local. Now we can tell that this is the global catalog of the root domain itlifeskills.local and this is a global catalog of the child domain hq.itlifeskills.local. So a global catalog contains its domain objects with full attribute set plus objects from other domains in the ID forest, but only with partial attribute set. And in an ID forest, a global catalog acts as a bridge for domain controllers in one domain to know about objects in other domains. When we promoted LHPV-DC03 to the second domain controller of the child domain hq.itlifeskills.local, its Active Directory database also contains the schema partition, the configuration partition, the application partition, and the domain partition for the domain hq.itlifeskills.local. These partitions are identical as the ones on OPVDC01. As you can see, LHPVDC03 is not assigned with any rows. Therefore, the next logical step is to move the infrastructure master role from OPVDC01 to LHPVDC03 to make the infrastructure master role function in the domain hq.itlifeskills.local. Also, LHPVDC03 is not aware of any objects in the domain itlifeskills.local or any other domains in this ID forest. To find the information about the objects in any other domains, LHPVDC03 must query a closest global catalog server, which is possibly OPVDC01 in this case. This is the end of this lesson. Let's read the keynotes.